The Xbox 360 was one-third of the mid-2000s new generation of gaming, where online play became more prevalent, everything was getting more expansive, and it also had a launch that made people want to replace their Tic Tacs with LSD tablets, hoping the Red Ring of Death was not actually invading their console shortly after buying it. But even with the launch troubles, the 360 did eventually make its name as a Zeus-level figure in the industry, having plenty of titles that would become family heirlooms. However, on the flip side, it did of course have nasty dreck that would make players want to dunk it straight into a garbage can. So today, I wanted to take a look at Metacritic's 10 worst rated games for this console to see what they have on there. And I have to say, it's always nice to see a familiar foe right off the rip. Yaris has a score of 17, making it the worst rated Xbox 360 game, along with being one of the worst rated games on the site, period, which has always been Fred Flintstone armpit levels of hairy to me. If you have somehow never heard of this legendary game that is stuck on the Billboard 500, it's the only video game, aside from racing titles, that is blessed with the Toyota licensing, having you rip through low poly sewers, shooting Roberts flying around in hopes of entertaining you. I can't really pretend it's more intricate than that, unless I'm supposed to get a Toyota Yaris for real, to then run my console over with all 4 wheels to unlock a secret level. Otherwise, it's a very simple and straightforward game. Now, did it actually entertain a person? Let's be real, probably not. But as we learned back in the rancid gamer cave topped with nacho cheese residue days, free-to-play games were a rarity, and this game was obviously free, presumably made by 1 or 2 people after they finished their Cupo Noodles beef flavor after having a magic duel with Ultimo Stencho at the local card shop. So I'm guessing the lack of being accustomed to that is why our overlords flailed Yaris around to rail it straight into a dump, acting like it's the biggest trash fire humanity has ever had the opportunity to witness. And you know, who are we to question the kings? If we do, they'll probably submit us all to a life of eating food from the dirt with our mouths. These people had the outlet, clearly meaning they were always right about everything they said. A mentality I'm sure people did actually believe back in the mid to late 2000s. It was a much different time back then. Now it's more Twitch or YouTube channel, promote a game, pretend you lost your virginity to it, get your paycheck, and forget about it afterwards. Regardless, I definitely don't think I could ever say Yaris is the worst Xbox 360 game, and I know for a fact I would rather play this than some of the later games on this list, Double Dragon 2, Wander of the Dragon being one of them, that also got a score of 17. This is a remaster for one of the legendary beat-em-up fossils in the gaming space. Double Dragon was pretty popular in the 80s, so naturally, bringing it back to a newer audience, plus to people that would remember it as a classic, is a easy move for cash money. I did give the original game a try first to oil up the gears, getting a slight taste of the bone zone I was about to enter, and right off the urethral meatus, I'm not getting the scent of a remake with this. I thought this came out in like 2005 or 6, like really early Xbox 360, but this came out in 2013. Unless they were trying to go for some sort of mysterious art form that indigenous cave children were drawing in the mud with their fingers, I'd love to know the reasoning behind why we're sporting this graphic quality in the year of our Lord. If I had to guess, it's probably money related. Gravity Co. was most likely given a couple rocks and a dollar bill to scrape together this beat-em-up title that unsurprisingly gets repetitive after a short time frame. These sorts of games need to be designed thoroughly with active attempts to break up monotony, and I can't really say that happened here. The only fun inclusion in this new generation Double Dragon is this horrific recovery time. When I got to the first tough guy, I'll call him, I literally got stun locked and couldn't move. He was brushing my teeth with his fist, his butt buddy would kick me, where I'd keep falling over, unable to do anything anything. It appears any boss type enemy will do this to you, so whenever you reach them, the big boy pants need to be hiked, and you have to continuously throw yourself at them with basic attacks or special moves until you win. I couldn't imagine the ecstatic gamers who were in a small corner awaiting Double Dragon 2 to be remade were happy with the nugget they received. You got a game that has a short shelf life, it has visuals of a person that has cataracts, and sprinkled in irritations that could pop a blood vessel in your head. With that in mind, it's up to you whether you want to continue ripping through the game, finishing the whole 15 levels or not. Did I do that? No, I didn't. I instead had my own opportunity to become bewildered at what I was looking at with how these pebble-brained clods of humans on Metacritic were giving Ride to Hell Retribution a score of 19. I'd love to know if we played the same game here or what. Like, maybe they don't have an appreciation for proper literature. It's impossible to say, because this game has you follow the story of what is essentially a human equivalent to a god, or the closest thing to it at the very least. He's a one-man army who previously served in Vietnam, where in this universe he most likely used his predator vision to see the soldiers using their mastercraft plays in the trees, wiping out the entirety of their forces by himself, and then brushed his teeth with a bottle of Jack afterwards. Now we see him wheeling through landscapes on his rocket monster, skirting under gas tankers, slaughtering anybody who has the belief they can take him or his family down. You even get to see him test his mettle in a fighting ring, unleashing an ancient power found from Babylonian catacombs, now known as the Conway Kick. One move destroys an entire underground fighting ring. All we need from him now is to start wearing McDonald's colors, spewing out, say your lies and take your steroids, pin your fucking bum, and everything would come full circle. It would be a true showing of power. But not only does Jacob Conway have this forbidden level of fighting aptitude, he also has a brain that's as wrinkly as crinkled up paper. At one point in the game, you need to get through an electric fence, so his mighty Manhattan Project adjacent idea is to take a big truck to drive it miles and miles away to reach a generator station to blow it up, rather than just driving the truck through the fence to get where he needs to go. It's a true situation that anyone would die to experience and surround themselves with, especially women. Hence why multiple times during your playthrough, Jake Conway gets down and dirty while being fully clothed. He seems to fry the women's brain with an intangible power. They throw themselves at him constantly without a second thought. I guess they just cannot resist the king. So needless to say, the people who wrote these reviews are bitch made. They're jealous they have no ability to be like Jake. Ride to Hell Retribution shouldn't be on here, so I'm not counting it. And with this poor understanding of their surroundings, it makes me wonder if the reviewing outlets are going to be truly correct when dunking negative reviews towards Fast and Furious Showdown that has a score of 22. But considering what this game is about, my expectations aren't too high regardless. We start off in a very hyped up police chase using our GTA Online ass vehicle, doing the best we can to destroy cops and survive for an allotted time, repeatedly looping the same city square while doing so. It makes you feel like you're watching a grainy, washed out version of the real thing that feels very similar to Burnout. Obviously, Fast and Furious is all about explosions and relieving yourself to a Mustang or whatever mechanism they're sitting inside of, but it's hard not to think these ruffians took a look at Burnout and shoved it into an oven to cook up this rotting meal. Even worse, this vehicular roller derby hootenanny is really all you do in this game. You drive down the street, watch a cutscene, drive down the street, watch a cutscene, race, then after 30 minutes, the game is gracious enough to toss a wrench in the mix, letting you play as the passenger using his little gun, blowing away vehicles, to then play Spider-Man on the side of a gas tanker. Realistically, the game is a never-ending cyclone of action movie goop that is expected. The only thing we're missing here is Big Dwayne entering the fray, reminding us all how we're just peasants and that he's better at eating chicken, broccoli, and rice than everyone else, and he's never used PEDs once ever. Sadly though, that does not happen, so you better be prepared to enjoy yourself endlessly living in this environment that costed $59.99. Fast and Furious Showdown is exactly what the human brain thinks of when the words movie game are spoken. It's clear there wasn't much thought, or much of anything really, stuck into the process of creating Driving Down the Street the game, no matter the console you played it on. I played the PS3 version because I wasn't that interested in driving on the semi-realistic looking Rainbow Road to continuously be rewarded with a seizure-inducing light show afterwards. So did I break the rule of authentically playing the worst rated 360 games? Probably, but I don't really care. It's the same disgusting game played on a make-pretend plastic box that I could run over in a car to break into pieces. Gaming is gaming. If you pledge your allegiance to a console, enjoy picking your nose and sucking on a binky as a grown adult. Besides, I care about Fast and Furious Showdown as little as I care about NBA Unrivaled that got a score of 25. A game I don't entirely care to count for the bottom 10 because it's a sports title. That doesn't mean it's good though, since it's far from it. Simply put, NBA Unrivaled was made by a group of court jesters who congregated together, trying their best to concoct a clone of NBA Jam by using zombified ragdolls. I don't really understand the reasoning behind releasing this game. NBA Jam was on the 360, and upon playing it, you'll immediately tell which is the better product. Plus, NBA Jam has more content, so Unrivaled is completely pointless to own. You'd either need to be one of those LARPers who is the most transparent sports fan, trying to get as much attention as possible by purchasing it while the NBA Finals is around, or you got roofied and have no idea what you were doing after waking up. If that did happen to be the case, you better hope you went on a recovery shopping spree, also dropping a few clams on Amy that got a score of 25, where you start seated in a train alongside a non-verbal girl who apparently has psychic powers named Amy. You get into a train-o-mobile wreck, the zombies are here, now you need to go on a trek to get both yourself and Amy out of the city of evil. It's not necessarily the most unique story contending with the ink dripped from Shakespeare's makeshift pen, but the premise works. It just depends on how much you would want to splurge yourself into the riches of the universe brought forth. As I was playing, I was wondering what exactly made Amy be seen as this despicable sin, which was a thought that swiftly had its answer rammed up my nostrils. Amy can just be straight up broken. Like when I had her hack this computer, she got stuck there soft locking the game. This happened to me every single time I tried hacking a computer, by the way. It was either an issue similar to this, or you're just being inconvenienced, forced to play digital babysitter. Such as this moment when I was required to run away from zombies. I blazed past Amy, leaving her in the dust, hoping she would follow, but I got too far ahead to where I couldn't go back to hold her hand, since you aren't able to fight without a weapon, so she got her shit rocked, making me need to restart, which can become really irritating considering how the checkpoints are very few and far between. Either way, I was doing my best to persevere through the trials and tribulations I was given, seeing how far I can get into this conquest, where I was only able to make it part way into chapter 2 because I wasn't able to do my Gouda cheese tactic for when Amy got stuck at the computer. Previously, I would have Amy hack the door, make it to a checkpoint, then reload the checkpoint for the game to fix itself, but in this situation, I wasn't able to do that. Amy is just standing there, clickety-clacking on the keyboard, and there's nothing I can do to progress past this area. No matter how many times I reload the checkpoint to do the 10 to 15 minutes of slow-paced action again, my fate is always the same. I think if the AI for Amy was, not fucking gross, to where you didn't need to play the game under constant anxiety, hoping Amy will work, I don't believe the game would have been renowned as terrible as it is. The opinions towards the game would honestly depend on how you feel about always being forced to babysit Amy. Alas, the AI is broken, so by law, it has to be dumped in with titles like Leisure Suit Larry Box Office Bust that got a score of 25, beginning with an erotic tickle tease for the individuals who are mentally swimming in a hairy sack, where you then play, I guess. Usually when you play a video game, there's an instant hook, or maybe you get treated like a lab rat, being fed small handfuls of crumbs so you continue playing, wanting to see what's going to happen next. With Leisure Suit Larry, you kinda just walk from area to area, following a yellow dot on the minimap, interacting with whatever's there, usually starting a little mission for yourself, performing objectives that require no more effort than pressing a single button. I'm not sure who this was for, or why a single person would ever want to buy it. It would be nice to know what the goal was here, or what creative engines had coal shoveled into them while frying this up. My guess is none, cause it's feeling like an ice age with Sid and the whole ass gang alongside it. Zero coal was used to make this. I think the one thing you could have included in Leisure Suit Larry to make it less of a slog would have been to add serious action during the game, like having the player tussle against a few of the characters that look like fucking walking, talking food fight animations. But that's not necessary, is it? Especially when we have other games like Rogue Warrior that got a score of 28. Upon startup, you immediately see the Bethesda name, and during the late 2000s was supposed to be a sign of post-war glory. Nothing could possibly be bad if it had Bethesda's name on it. However, with Rogue Warrior, that could not be further from the truth. It would really be a treat to see a player's initial reaction after seeing that logo in 2009 to when they started playing the game, where they then start their level, do a fucking radical kill move on a few of the enemies, eventually get caught, then start shooting back at them without realizing they just experienced the entire game. That's seriously all you do. Each mission starts with a pistol in hand. You'll stumble into a few enemies, slash their throat in an over-exaggerated fashion, someone will see you, then you mow people down in straight hallway level designs. During the late 2000s, early 2010s, a lot of gamers grew up with one of these melted butter ass shooter titles that were as lifeless as a dead leaf. You'd play it once, then never touch it again, cause there is nothing remotely captivating about it other than, I played Call of Duty that one time, Call of Duty has gun, this has gun, ooga booga. Rogue Warrior is one of the poster children for that gaming subgenre. You genuinely start feeling like an apathetic, mindless drone after 20 minutes of playtime. When I reached my third round of running into a building to plant bombs, I was fully checked out at that point. Why they weren't able to at least have different pathways for you to approach a situation, or like if they fully played into the stealth mechanics rather than having you walk behind a person to simply press your A button, then realize it's completely pointless since the AI function as if they are a grown adult struggling to put a square block into a circle hole. They possibly could have included more than the same few objectives throughout each mission. If they did any of that, maybe, just maybe, Rogue Warrior would have been able to have the memorability of a store-bought ham sandwich with hair on it. With the way it is though, the instant you shut this shit off, you're going to forget everything that happens, cause nothing does happen. I think the only thing that could have been worse than forcing the player to run in linear pathways, shooting enemies till the cows come home, would have been to make the entire movement system be automated, which is a move that Rambo the video game did, receiving a score of 28. This thing is a notorious artifact that released after the PS4 and Xbox One dropped, giving Rambo fans a cinematic on-rails shooter where you aim around shooting people, waiting for your fortune cookie moment of perennial QuickTime events to accentuate the fun you were already having. It's a gaming fiesta that would surely flare up the scabies of any player. The loop of gunning enemies down to do a grouping of QuickTime events, then start shooting people again, definitely has the enjoyment factor of eating a kid cuisine meal. It bewilders me that the publisher, Reef Entertainment had the gall to charge the equivalent of $39.99 USD for a game this bare bones, having a story you can finish in around 2.5 hours. You might as well just sell a video game case that opens up to a boxing glove to rock the person's shit and introduce their nose to the inside of their skull at that point. With the pure price in consideration, I'd slam dunk this thing below everything else we've talked about so far. You can't tell me something that is free, even if it's not the most intricate game ever like Yaris, is a bigger stink than a $40 almost 3-hour game. Even compared to Rogue Warrior, as much of a NyQuil disc edition as that can be, at least you're moving around doing something. Where is the value for your dollar here? Or never mind, I can answer my own question. It's in the pocket of a corporate warlord, adult genius, NPC of the round table. That's where it is. Thankfully, in my case here, my time in the war zone came and went quite quickly. There's hardly anything to say about this really, so I ended up tapping out of this because I got sick of it pretty fast, allowing me to go spend the rest of my evening playing Jumper Griffin Story that got a score of 29. And with a title like that, does it mean I will jump in the air with joy upon playing? Well, of course not. If a game is on the lower tier of anything, doesn't matter who made the list, happiness will not be evoked from the soul of anyone. No matter if they are neck deep in make pretend positivity land or in the darkest depths of depression, Jumper Griffin Story's results are the same. It's another beat 'em up title that gives the feeling of picking your ear with a stick yet again. Previously, we had Double Dragon, a remaster of an older title from the 80s that has the quality of making a pizza in an air fryer. Now we have this new age outlaw of a beat 'em up with similar quality that appeared to try something semi-original. Instead of mindlessly punching and kicking people, you are required to use the 4 face buttons to attack enemies while looking at the little circle underneath them. If it's red, the enemy will punch you in the throat to counter your attack. If it's green, you can continue your combo, which does work to help break up the natural born monotony. However, the game still does succumb to the inevitable suplex into a bed of nails after a short time frame, cause they never added on to the combat or anything else outside of that small detail, leaving you to endlessly run through the muddy swamp, taking a mental endurance test you are required to pay for. Not because it's hard or anything, the game is actually pretty brain dead. You can put the difficulty of this alongside tasks such as breathing or blinking. It's more of how you're withstanding internal turmoil, attempting to find any possible crumb to entertain yourself with when it's simply not possible to do. I was sitting there fingering my enemies like a rotary phone, awaiting for a single action or emotion to be released that wasn't me sitting there drooling on myself, but it didn't happen. An hour and a half spent, nothing to remember, white towel raised. I officially cried uncle. You win, Jumper Griffin Story. You're an empty dinner plate with nothing on it, forcing the eater to wait for their final piece of their meal to be placed on that said plate. Your first slice of bread for the legendary shooter sandwich was Rogue Warrior, then Rambo is the flavorless patty, and the top slice of bread is Shell Shock 2 Blood Trails that got a score of 30, where you're rumbling in Vietnam as the US military's version of Triple H in 2002, stomping through more straight pathways, laying out groups of enemies. If they ever believe for a single second that they can kill you, Motorhead plays, then you can fearlessly walk into their line of fire since your character has reptilian shapeshifter scale skin, allowing you to survive entire mag dumps without much of an issue. And with that, you kill, kill, kill. It truly is a shame seeing games that have the soul of a piece of wood. Never have I or will I understand the goal of these things. There's literally nothing fun about running in linear pathways playing a shooting gallery. Where is the even semi-interesting level design? Where are the secret areas? Where is the brain usage? Where is the enticing story and characters? None of it's here. The only Walmart brand seasoning you get sprinkled in during your playthrough is how you eventually start seeing zombies. And as we know, that is clearly the most original addition to any video game. Now, whether Shell Shock is better than Rogue Rogue Warrior is something that could be a never-ending debate. I would say probably Shellshock 2. The gunplay is slightly better, but realistically, they're interchangeable, and it doesn't matter where you put either. Both get boring in under an hour, so you pass go and lose $200 no matter the decision made. It's a simple uppercut to the jawline. Good night, gamer. Sleep with the feces. Apathy at its finest is how you can summarize the lowest rated Xbox 360 Metacritic titles. I can't really say any of them were truly rage-inducing or had these otherworldly mechanics no one has ever seen before. Practically all of them are games you'd either download or stick in the console physically to question what you're even doing with your time. Just go on a walk, go punch a person on the sidewalk and get arrested. I don't know. Anything would be more productive and engaging than dipping the time stick into these pots of honey. It's not even an exaggeration to say Ride to Hell Retribution, all jokes aside, would be more enjoyable to spend your evening with than any of these, cause there's actual substance with it, as stupid as it is. I was initially going into this ready for a full-on battleground like Solo storming the beaches of Normandy back in the 40s, but it just ended up being a 12-year-old's block fort reinforced with Lincoln logs that I crushed with my boot. As always, be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below, or leave some games that you think should be on here that aren't. Big ups to all of our channel members who go above and beyond each and every month, generously supporting the channel even further. If you would like to join them and get early access to content, hit the join button right next to the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, take very good care of yourselves, and I hope to see you all again in the next video.